Hi, I'm Madison and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my top 10 manga of 2022. So this list actually, let me rephrase that. It's my top 10 manga and manhwa of 2022. I have a little bit of both now that we have a bunch of different manhwas that are being published in full color in English, which is super exciting. They were all in the back half of this year, so I can't wait to talk about those as well. So all the mangas and manhwas that I'm talking about today did come out in 2022. None of these are like backlist titles. These are all brand new ones that did come out, which is even more exciting to talk to you guys about. So without further ado, in no particular order, here they are. I lied, I said no particular order, but I do have a favorite one, let's be real. That is going to be Villains Are Destined to Die. This is a manhwa. It was originally published on as like a webcomic in full color. I am absolutely 110% freaking obsessed with this. Not only is the art in this freaking gorgeous, but the storyline is A+. So this is an isekai, which means that it is a reincarnation trope. You're following this girl who in the real world, in real day, was playing this video game, and it was an anime, and she was doing really well at it. She, was completing all the levels on easy. She had aced every single storyline. She was like, oh, since I've done every single storyline, aced everything on easy mode, let me try hard mode. And as hard mode in this game, you end up playing as the villainess, and you have to make it so the villainess doesn't die. Now the girl was failing. She could never seem to win at hard mode. She kept dying and dying and dying until one day she dies in real life and ends up getting transported into the video game as the villainess in hard mode. And so now she is the villainess, and she knows that she is basically destined to die unless she can find a way to win. And so she has to try and like convince everyone to like not hate her, because everyone has on top of them like these little heart like monitors, and it basically says like how much they do and don't like her, and if it falls below a certain percent, that person will then murder her. And so she has to try and get them to like win their affection, and she has like 5 different potential suitors that she has to convince. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. It is freaking beautiful. It is so much fun. I'm so invested in this story. I binged it so quickly. I cannot wait to read more of this. Of course, you can continue reading it online, but it is also really fun to read it in person. This is one of my all-time favorites, 100%, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. I highly, highly recommend it. In the same vein, I do have another manhwa that I did binge. Now, I literally binged this one because there are so many episodes out on Webtoon currently that you can read up until like way past where this first volume goes. And so I did do that, and I spent many a nights going to bed at like 3 in the morning. Was that smart? No, but I did it anyway. That is The Remarried Empress. Oh my god, I almost dropped it. The Remarried Empress. Oh god, it's so pretty as well. Stunning. Once again, this is also a manhwa, so it is in full color, as you can see. The prologue, basically what you have is you have this girl who's been raised since birth to be the perfect empress, and her best friend is supposed to become eventually the emperor. So they raise the entire lives, X and Y and Z happens, and when they come of age, they both get married, and she becomes the empress and he gets crowned the emperor. They live their lives for a couple of years. She's always been in love with him, but his affections have waned over the years, to the extent that when this starts off, you find out that he has actually taken on a concubine. He's taken on a lover, this random chick that he meets in a field one day, he becomes in love with, okay? The Empress is completely distraught over this. She doesn't want to let people see it because she is known as being the perfect Empress. She literally runs the country so amazingly. She was so beloved by everyone, and this is all she's ever known, that she decides to, try and keep her cool with this new concubine, even though this new concubine is not it. What ends up happening is you end up finding out in the very beginning of this, in the prologue, that the emperor ends up asking for a divorce from the empress so he can marry the concubine. As a result, what you end up seeing is that the empress, when she agrees to this divorce, she ends up also filing and petitioning at the same time to get remarried to the emperor's enemy. And that is what this is about. You end up finding out, how does it come to this? How does she meet his enemy? How does she befriend him? How is she marrying him because she wants to marry him? Is she actually in love with him? Is it for some secret alliance? Like, what is going on there? How did the emperor meet this concubine? What is this concubine doing? All of this is so about court politics, and it's super, super interesting to kind of see how everything leads up to that point. And it is so addictive, so much fun. There is magic in this. There is magic in this, but it's like very subtle magic. I freaking loved it. All the manhwas I have on this list are like my favorites of this year because I've just become absolutely obsessed. I've always been obsessed with manhwas because I've always read them on my phone, but to actually now know that they're out physically that I can show you guys, even better, because there are so many that I absolutely adore. On that same vein, we have got Tomb Raider King! This is one that not enough people talk about, so I really want you guys to think about picking this up. If you like action, if you like fantasy, if you like the idea of, this is how I pitched this. I pitched this as Indiana Jones meets the apocalypse, basically. This is set in a world where the apocalypse happens, and when the apocalypse happens, basically there's like a bunch of tombs that like arise throughout the world, and all these tombs have relics in them, and relics have magic. And if you go in and you raid the tomb and you get the relic, you become more and more powerful the more and more that you can collect. And depending on which relics you have, they all have different levels of power to them as well. And so you've got this guy who, you know, since the beginning is like a relic hunter, and he works for this massive corporation to the extent that one day the corporation ends up screwing him over and murdering him, you know? So he is then reborn, and he wakes up many years in the past to right before the apocalypse occurs. And he sits there and he is pissed. He is mad. He is like, you know what? I wasted all those years of my life in service to these people. They screwed me over. I got nothing out of it. I hate everyone. So you know what he decides to do? He decides to basically become the anti-hero. He decides to do everything he can to screw everyone over. He steals from everyone. He uses all of his knowledge for where all the relics are to take all the relics what everyone else does. He screws with all the timelines. It is absolutely hilarious the way that he messes with everything that's going on. And of course it's going to lead to a butterfly effect. And of course eventually he's going to be like, huh, this isn't how it happened in the past. It's like, yeah, no shit, bro. You literally have changed everything. But it is so much fun because he is such a menace. Like, he is screwing everyone over, and he is so unapologetic about it. He's like, I will take this by force. I am not here to be the nice guy this time around. I am here to be the bad guy because I want to get rid of all the other bad guys. And I dig that. He is amazing, and it makes him so hot. Again, this is also another one that is in full color, and it is just so much fun. Like, it is literally hilarious. Oh, look at that. Look at him stabbing that snake. Oh, it's so good. Like, I got into so many more action mangas, especially these kind of ones that are like you die and you get reincarnated and you decide that you're gonna like screw everything else over. Oh, these are so good. So highly recommend this one. Then I have one that's like a little bit of a cheat, and that's because this is the only one on this list that is not volume 1, and that is going to be Solo Leveling volume 5. I have never talked about Solo Leveling on my channel before, so I decided to take this as my chance to do this, because if you have not checked out Solo Leveling, there are 5 volumes out currently. You need to, because it is so amazing. As much as I love Tomb Raider King, this is like where my love of so many things started, was Solo Leveling, because it is so cool. So let me show you volume 3 because it shows you just how attractive this man's is. Do you see this man here? This man is so hot. This is one of the hottest men you'll ever see in your entire life. Let me actually grab the first volume for you because, hang on, this is not gonna make any sense. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because each and every single volume gets better and better and better. Like, you never think, you read a lot of things and you never think, is it possible that they can top the last one? Can you keep topping it and topping it and topping it? This is so addictive that I had to mention it because volume 5 has been one of my favorites so far because so many things are now happening in this story. Solo Leveling is also set during the apocalypse, where there are now these portals that open up where people can go in and hunt creatures, and then you get money for whatever you hunt to, you know, help save the world. You know, you have to help hunt these portals and defeat them, because if you don't defeat the portals turn evil basically, and the things can come out of the portals and then kill all of humanity. So people are called hunters who go in, and you're following this guy who is known as the weakest hunter of all time. He is an E rank hunter, and one day he ends up entering into this, you know, portal with everyone to go do a hunt, and everything goes horribly wrong. Everyone ends up almost dying, except for the fact that he dies, but he also rebirths in the exact same moment and basically becomes like a superior, cool, dope version of himself, and gets this like basically like this blessing in a sense. So he becomes like a super OP, and he is almost treated like a game character where he is given objectives, like a video game objective will appear, and if he completes them, he gets to level up even more, which is why it's called Solo Leveling. he's given this opportunity to be like anyone else, and not many other people are able to be reawakened in the sense that they can change their ranking. Like, he has literally gone from being an E rank to like an S rank because of all this stuff, and it's his story as he basically becomes super OP and kind of goes against like all the corruption and all the things going on in this world, and it is so awesome. He changes so much from the beginning of this to now, and you kind of see the effect that it has on him as he is gaining all this power, and is it necessarily a good thing with how powerful he is becoming? And God, just like all the moral questions and stuff in it, like it is phenomenal. I love a good spicy manga. I've got two that made my top 10 this year. The first of which is Game Between the Suits. This is one of my favorites that I read ages ago, and I'm so glad it's now out physically. So this follows this 27-year-old career woman. She is known as being like super business centric, super career focused, to the extent that she will even pick up a phone call while she is having sex, okay? As a result, men don't really want to be with her because they're so intimidated by how badass she is, basically, until one day there's this new guy who starts at her work, who's a subordinate, who instantly takes a liking to her and is instantly like, I want to be with you, I want to date you, and she ends up entering into kind of a friends with benefits relationship with him, and it is how things progress from there. It is very fun. I love this one a lot. It is not like 10 out of 10 spicy, but it does have some really great scenes in it. I think there's like some light BDSM as well, so definitely do recommend this one. I also like that the characters are so much older because you don't always get that depending on how the josei is, but definitely recommend this if you're looking for a spicy manga. And in the same vein, this one also isn't like that spicy, but it is so much fun. There's going to be I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess. This is hilarious. This follows a girl who is supposed to become betrothed to the crown prince and therefore be the crown princess. However, she doesn't want to be married to him because it is known that, you know, the prince will eventually take on concubines and he'll have all these other mistresses, and she's like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that to be my life. Like, I want to be with someone who is devoted to me, who will love me forever. Like, that's not my kind of cup of tea. So she's like, how do I not get betrothed to the crown prince? She's like, oh, easy peasy. In order to be betrothed to the crown prince, you have to be a virgin. Let me fix that. Let me go lose my virginity. So she goes to a masquerade ball to go lose her V-card, except what does she do? She loses her V-card at the masquerade ball to a masked man who ends up being the crown prince. That's right. She done messed up. And so at that same night, he doesn't know who she is, of course. He doesn't know that this is his betrothed, basically, that he's doing the do with. He falls in love with her that night, this mystery woman, and gives her this special kiss that is like, turns into like a special tattoo on her body. And that tattoo is of a rose that therefore signifies that she will be the crown princess. Because he's like, I don't care who this woman is, I want her to be mine. And then it's like, wham bam, thank you ma'am, oh my god, we were supposed to be together in the first place. And it is hilarious. I cannot wait for more from this. Then we have a Yakuza romance. I am such a whore for Yakuza romances, okay? If I love mafia romances, why the hell would I not love Yakuza? Like, let's be real. So we've got Yakuza Fiancé. This came out just recently at the very end of 2022. So you'll find this girl who is the sheltered princess of a Yakuza family, and she's never had a relationship in her entire life because she's got serious resting bitch face, okay? Plus she's part of the Yakuza, but she tries to keep that a secret. And then one day her grandfather comes to her and lets her know that she's actually going to be betrothed to the grandson of an enemy crime family so that they can broker some peace and like a truce between the two of them. So she ends up moving in with this grandson, and this grandson literally wants nothing to do with her because she's trying to just be nice to him, and he thinks that she's naive, and he's like, I'm not interested in like some goody two-shoes girl who's supposed to be Yakuza princess but is actually just like a naive sheltered little chick. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. He's like, go, like, he basically tells her to go F herself. She then embraces her Yakuza side and reams him the F out, and he turns around and is like, that was so hot. I love it when you're mean to me. Let's 100% get married now. And she sits there and she's like, I'm so sorry. You're a dick to me. No, I'm not being with you. And he's like, oh my god, be mean to me some more. And it is the funniest. It's so funny. I literally died so hard. I cannot wait for the next volume. I read this so quickly and then I became so depressed because I need the rest of this ASAP. Oh my god, it is so good. And it's a really, really unique art style as well. I haven't seen a manga drawn like this in a pretty long time. Like, it's a very severe kind of style. Oh my god, like, look at that scene. Ah, dead. Okay, next up we have a BL manga that is a boys love manga. So it is an MM romance, and that is, I can never say this title. Okay. The other world's books depend on the bean counter. Yes, I'm aware that is an extremely long title. It happens, especially with isekais. Isekais have the longest damn titles in the entire world. So what ends up happening is that in this other alternate world that exists, there is a prophecy that a holy maiden will one day appear. Then you have our regular world, and one day you got this guy, he's just Jay chillin', and he sees this gigantic portal open up, and he sees this woman being sucked into a portal, and the woman is asking for help, so he tries to save this woman from being sucked into the portal, except he is also sucked into the portal. And so the two of them land in this alternate world where she is supposed to be the revered holy maiden and he is an accident. And so basically they're like, what do we do with you? And he goes, well, I'm an accountant in my current old life that I guess is now gone. I can be an accountant for you too. So he ends up becoming the accountant to this new kingdom that exists, and he ends up having a romance with the Knight's Guard of the Holy Maiden, and it is their romance. And it is so funny because like the Night Guard wants something to do with him, and it is so good. A really great, like kind of like very wholesome BL, but is also very funny and just like A+ territory. I love this one so much. Then we have Tsubakicho Lonely Planet. This is a really cute age gap romance. This is by the creator who also did Daytime Shooting Star, if you are aware of that. This was just recently translated this year. So this follows Fumi, and her dad is in deep debt. As a result, Fumi is like, okay, I'm gonna get a part-time job so we can, you know, pay for your debt. And she ends up getting a part-time job as a housekeeper for an author. Now, she assumes that said author is going to be some old dude. She doesn't have to really worry about much because he needs a housekeeper because he's just old. She gets there, and what happens? No. It's an attractive AF young man, and she goes, oh my god, and she gets an instant crush on him. So she is now crushing on this young hot author that she is the housekeeper for. There is an age gap between them. She is in high school, he is like in his early 20s, so there is that in it. If you're not familiar with manga, that is a normal trope that happens in a lot of age gaps, just FYI. And it is a very sweet and very cute first romance that occurs between them. I really enjoy this. I also just love this mangaka's style. Mika Yamamori literally has such a beautiful manga style, and you cannot help but fall in love. If you have read Daytime Shooting Star, you know what I'm talking about. So yes. So the next two are going to be two that I read so many years ago. They're some of my favorite shoujos, and now they are finally out in print. I was so excited this year when they actually came out so I could buy them, and now I own them and they're on my shelves. So the first of those is, oh my god, New York. The first of those is going to be Cheeky Brat. You're following Yuki, and she is the basketball club manager for her high school. She became the club manager because she is in love with one of the seniors who plays basketball, and she has been pining after him all these years. And when she's finally like thinking that she might confess, she finds out he has a girlfriend. Womp womp. Then you have this little cute nugget over here, and he has just transferred to the school. He's a couple years younger than her, and he is a basketball like prodigy. So he joins the team, and he is instantly in love with her. And so he's trying to get her to be with him. She's like, you're younger than me, I don't want to be with you, plus I'm still unrequited lover of this other guy. And it is him trying to get her to fall in love. It is so cute. I love this kind of like a younger guy trying to like get after the older girl and like fawning over her and doing all these things, but also being like a little shit half the time as well. It is so much fun. I love this one to death. It is one of my all-time favorites, and yes. Then last but not least, we have one of my favorites. This is such a good one. We have No Longer Heroine. So this follows a girl who is super popular, super gorgeous, and her best dude friend is also super popular, super gorgeous. And so she's like, oh my god, you know, if this was a love story, if this was a romance novel, of course we would be together. Like, I'm the beautiful girl, like I'm the heroine of this story, and he is the love interest, except for the fact that he's not interested in her at all. It is like, this is such a classic shoujo in the way that it is also just drawn, because like a lot of the art in this really harkens back to early 2000s shoujo manga. And it is so much fun. Like, here, let me show you an example. Like, you've got pictures like that, these kind of ones, and you've just got like when she cries as well. Let me show you her when she's crying. When she's crying, she's like this. Like, it is such an early 2000s vibe. I love the nostalgia that comes from reading this manga 100%. So I highly recommend this. It might seem a little bit weird to some people who aren't maybe used to manga just because of the style that it is done with, that very early 2000s vibe, but it is one of my all-time favorites, and I'm absolutely in love with it. So yeah, those are my top 10 manga and manhwa that I read in 2022. Of course, there are a lot more that I did read, but you know, I wanted to do a top 10 for this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that button down below. If you want to see more of me, please go to my channel and check me out over on TikTok and Instagram. I'm also Princess of Paperback on there. And until next time, thanks so much everyone. Bye-bye.